Alright. Keep it down. Feeling a little bit rough today. Rough and ready though, you might say. Thankfully, I'm not talking about that game today. No, that one's coming next week. Hello everybody, welcome to the Review, the series where I get to replay and reassess games from my favourite gaming era. I'm Brian, also known as UKGN Zoidberg, and I've lost my marbles. Thankfully, when it comes to finding and collecting them, the hero of today's game is just the person that you'd want to call. While everybody else was making games with cute cuddly critters as their hero, the developers of this one went another way entirely and made the questionable choice to give us a heavily armed 10-year-old instead. Was that the right decision? Let's find out together as I delve into the making and critical reception of Ruff and Tumble, which was developed by Wunderkind and published by Renegade in 1994. Recently, I saw the question being posed on Twitter about whether or not there was such a thing in gaming as a one-hit wonder. While I'm sure that there are multiple answers to that question, and I can't wait to read the comment section for answers that I haven't even thought of, it's what inspired me to make this episode, as the first game that sprang to my mind was Ruff and Tumble. This was the only game from a developer called Wunderkind, which must surely make it a one-hit wonder, right? I'm not really sure that it qualifies as one though, as the people behind it have worked on dozens of other games. The team consisted of just two people, programmer Jason Perkins and artist Robin Levy. Perkins had spent many years working at Gremlin Graphics on Commodore 64 versions of games like Jack the Nipper, Avenger and the Monty Mole series, whereas Levy came from System 3, where his work can be seen in games like Fuzzball, Myth and Last Ninja 3. They had worked together as part of a team called Strange Ways, working on the Amiga version of Apocalypse. Development had begun on the game back in 1991, before the then publisher went into liquidation and the team ended up being disbanded. The game was eventually completed and released by Virgin in 1994, although the final version of the game is credited to Miracle Games. After joining together to make a game for Renegade, they set about making what they referred to as a platform-based defender. This was born out of Perkins wanting to make a platform game, but Levy preferring shooters. The end result is a game that's a mixture of the two, and throughout the development they put all their effort into making sure that the game remained both fast and playable. In magazine previews for the game, Perkins spoke at length about the technical side of the game, including the size of the levels and the scrolling routines. He also pointed out that they opted against using parallax scrolling, as it was felt that this would slow down the action too much. For the soundtrack, they drafted in Jason Page. If you've played any Amiga game by Graphgold, chances are that you will have enjoyed some of his music. Both Fire and Ice and Uridium 2 are, as far as I'm concerned, amongst the best soundtracks on the Amiga. But he also wrote the music for Sensible World of Soccer and Putty Squad. After a period working freelance, Page ended up as an audio manager for Sony Computer Entertainment Europe. It's his music that you can actually hear on the demo discs that were given away with the official PlayStation magazine, and he also wrote about 45 minutes worth of music for the original Gran Turismo. Ruff and Tumble was published by Renegade in October 1994, where it ended up sharing shelf space with the aforementioned Sensible World of Soccer, as well as Alien Breed Tower Assault and Mortal Kombat 2. We'll get into what the reviews said about it in a moment, but sales-wise it only ever managed to peak at number 12 on the official Gallup Amiga Top 20. A CD32 version with 256 colours and Dolby surround sound ended up never seeing the light of day. After Wunderkind went their separate ways, Perkins would go on to found Curve Digital, a name that you might recognise as the publisher of indie games such as Stealth Incorporated, Bomber Crew, The Ascent, and one of my personal favourite games of the last 10 years, Hot Shot Racing. Levy continued to produce art at System 3, before going on to join HotGen Studios in London, a publisher who worked on many licensed games for the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS. Now though, let's see what the reviews said about Ruff and Tumble on its original release. By the time Ruff and Tumble came out in 1994, platform games were so commonplace on the Amiga that the arrival of a new one was greeted with very little enthusiasm by the gaming press. Indeed, in most instances, this found itself being reviewed in the same issues as Kid Chaos, James Pond 3, Super Frog, or on one occasion, Putty Squad. Yet in almost every instance, it found itself receiving either the same or a higher score than any of those. The world exclusive review appeared in the August issue of the One Amiga, where the game also featured on the cover. The review spanned 4 pages, with reviewer Simon Byron calling the game the apex of platform pleasure, a quote that also appeared in all advertising and on the game's box. He went on to award it a score of 91%. All other reviews started to appear in other magazines in their October issues. CU Amiga gave the highest score of 92%, stating that both the graphics and level design were superb. Amiga Action had similar thoughts with a final score of 91%, the same score that they had given Putty Squad the previous issue. Amiga Computing, Amiga Power and Amiga Format all stopped short of the magic 90% mark with scores of 89, 88 and 87 respectively. All 3 of them claimed that the game's difficulty was high, but that the challenge was well worth it. The music, however, was criticised by Jonathan Davis in Amiga Power, who called the game's soundtrack awful, stating that he would have preferred some meaty gun sound effects instead. From 7 reviews, the average score in UK magazines was 89.1%. Over on the Lemon Amiga website, at the time of writing, it has a user score of 8.62 from 247 votes. This places it at number 38 on their top 100 games. Now it's time to see what I think of the game as we move on to the playtest. Right, so here we go. Nice to see Jason Perkins and Robin Levy both getting joint credit on the title screen there. So this is Ruff Rogers, a 10-year-old boy armed with a massive machine gun who is trying to retrieve his lost marbles. All of the different robots that you encounter all have different attack patterns that you will soon come to learn. So while holding down the fire button, you can actually fire in multiple directions and the character won't move while doing so. It does come in very handy. As you can see, there's little hearts above my head there that's well hidden in the scenery. You'll soon come to spot where those are and realise how important they are. Flamethrower! You will want to try and keep power-ups like the flamethrower for as long as you can. So every time you get a little P symbol, get it, make sure you pick it up. What I do find is that the most annoying part of the entire game is the controls, and that all stems from having a single fire button joystick. So not only is up jump, but also up is what you use for the different directions of fire. So the number of times that you will accidentally jump or accidentally start firing when you didn't mean to can result in a number of deaths. I am counteracting that a little bit by playing this on the 800 Mini, where I have programmed in the jump button onto one of the other buttons on the joypad. What you will notice the more you play this game is that all the little techniques that have been included by the programmer. It's like the way that the screen will scroll slightly as you approach a bonus area, just to let you know that it is there and that there are some collectibles for you to seek out if you so wish. The game does afford you plenty of opportunity to go exploring as well, which is always nice. And you are usually rewarded for doing so as well, which is also always nice. Each of the game's worlds are made up of 4 levels, followed by a boss fight. So that's the end of the 3rd section of World 1. There's also some nice little subtle palette changes throughout as well to the graphics, because obviously this is only 32 colours. Every now and then you will notice that the palette changes ever so slightly as the game is scrolling. As you can see, there is a number of extra lives and collectibles up there, but I can't reach them. But that is the game's not so subtle way of showing you that there's more to this level than meets the eye. I see there was that subtle palette change there as I went past this section. You know, unfortunately, if you do press R at that point, then you start from World 1 again. So it doesn't actually start you from the level that you reached. The only point at which the game will give out level codes is when you actually beat the bosses at the end of each world. What you will also notice is that there are actually more marbles on the levels than you actually need. So as you start to collect the last few on the level, any that were remaining will turn into coins. No! Stop it, will you? Duck and then fire. That's what I mean by the controls being a little bit too fiddly in places. So as you can see right here is the exit, but I haven't collected enough of the marbles yet. So on this level, there is actually a whole section that you are rewarded for exploring. So here, we've got a nice flamethrower there. So I could collect those last remaining marbles and then just head straight to the exit and finish the level. But if I do that, then I'm going to lose out on a couple of extra lives that are hidden away. This is where some really good level design comes into play as well. Because a lot of the time in games like this on the Amiga, there would be sections where you have no idea where you're going to be jumping, but by putting those coins there, they are highlighting the fact that you can jump there. And by following those coins down there, that is the point where you could see right at the start of the level. So a couple of extra lives and some special bonuses. And so there is the exit, and this is going to take me to the end of level boss. It's not the easiest end of level boss, admittedly. Fortunately, he does have an on-screen health bar, and those extra lives that I picked up are coming in very handy. Yay, I've killed him. Only lost 5 lives in the process. It's a lot of coins there, though. You may have noticed at the start of the video that there was an options section on the title screen. Literally all you get from that options screen is the ability to enter level codes or switch music on and off. And while the music in this game isn't as memorable as some other Amiga music, I think playing the game without it, you would be missing quite a lot. And with each new world, you get a new selection of enemies to learn. They're not drastically different to the ones that you had at the end of the day, but it's nice that there's a little bit of variety to the graphics, not just in the environment that you're jumping around in. And now you get to have a little brief underwater section as well. You can blow up these generators, which is extremely handy. While the temptation is certainly there to rush through sections like this, you are definitely much better off by taking your time. No, don't do that. Game over. So that's where we're going to end the playtest for today. So let's get on to my final summary in the re-review. There's definitely a very strong case for me to claim that Ruff and Tumble is one of the best looking games on the Amiga, especially when you consider that this is running on A500 hardware. There are A1200 only games with access to more colours that simply don't look anywhere near as good as this one. It's always been one of my favourite Amiga platform games ever since I first played it. The levels are brilliantly put together, it's hard but fair and incredibly fun. So that's it then, 10 out of 10, let's move on. Well, not quite, as there are a number of niggling problems which lead to frustration. Top of my list is the fact that it doesn't support 2-button controllers, like many games were doing at the time. This means that you're stuck having to push up on the joystick to jump, and this causes numerous problems as you also have to push up to aim. Thankfully though, if you are playing the game on the A500 Mini today, you can reprogram the controls to your liking, and this means that it's much less of a problem. Unfortunately, that's not the only issue that I have with the game's controls. I died multiple times when my joystick inputs didn't correspond to what I wanted to do on screen. Other issues that I have are ones that I accept are probably personal to me, like the fact that the special weapons that you pick up don't last long enough, or the fact that level codes are only given out at the end of a world rather than after each level. As far as ranking it against other Amiga action platform games, I ended up placing it at number 2 on the Super League, right behind Turrican 2. I will put a link to the full Retro Game Super League video of that in the video description if you want to watch it. Ruff and Tumble is unquestionably a brilliant game that I would recommend to anyone, but it's also one that I can't shake my disappointment in. That means that today's score from me would be an 8 out of 10. Hey, has anybody told you about the VIP memberships that we do right here on the channel? Not only will you get early access to most of the videos that we post, you'll also get exclusive access to full reruns of any live streams that we do, plus exclusive membership content. You'll even get one of these little badges that you can put on your name whenever you comment on anything, just to show people how long you've been a member for. If that sounds like something that might be of interest to you, it's only £1.99 a month, and you can find full details of how you can become a member in the video description, or just click the link on screen right now. You'll even get to help us choose what games we cover in future episodes of both the Re-Review and Retro Game Super Leagues. So why not check it out? Thank you for watching this episode of the Re-Review. I'd really like to hear your memories of playing Ruff and Tumble in the comments, and whether or not you agree with some of the issues that I have with it. Please remember that this is purely my opinion, and it's perfectly fine for you to have your own. If there are any games that you'd like to see me cover in this series, then we have actually made some changes to how you can submit your choices. Simply click the link to our Discord in the video description, and there's a channel in there dedicated to suggestions. Many viewers have already done so, and hopefully the next episode in 2 weeks' time will be the first one where I start to cover them. I produce a new episode in this series every 2 weeks, but don't forget that I now also live stream every Tuesday at noon right here on the channel as well. If you want to watch any of the episodes that I produce earlier than anyone else, you can do so by becoming a channel VIP member for just £1.99 a month. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you can show your support for what we do on the channel by simply giving this video a like and subscribing. Until next time, happy retro gaming, bye for now.